The airport was busy, like always. People were walking fast, holding coffee cups, bags rolling behind them. Announcements played in the background. Everyone had a place to go. A tall black man in a navy blue suit walked calmly through the gate. His shoes were polished, and he carried only one small bag. His face looked peaceful but strong. His name was Mr. Jordan, and he was traveling alone. He smiled softly at the gate agent and handed her his ticket. She scanned it and nodded without looking up. He thanked her and stepped onto the plane. Inside the plane, a flight attendant was greeting passengers. She looked up and saw Mr. Jordan. Her smile disappeared for a second, but came back quickly. "Hello, sir," she said politely. "Can I help you find your seat?" Mr. Jordan smiled. "No, thank you. I believe it's 2A. Her eyes narrowed just a little. "First class?" "Yes," he said, holding up his ticket. "Seat 2A. The flight attendant didn't take the ticket. She looked at him for a moment. Then she stepped slightly in front of him. "I'm sorry, sir," she said, "but this seat is not for you." Mr. Jordan raised an eyebrow. He stayed calm. "Excuse me. This section is for first-class passengers only," she said, her voice lower now. "You might want to check your ticket again." He looked down at his ticket, then back at her. "It says 2A first class." Other passengers were watching now. Some had just sat down. Others were standing in the aisle behind him. A man whispered to his wife, "What's going on?" She shrugged and looked at her phone, but kept her eyes on Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan spoke again, his voice polite. "Is there a problem?" The flight attendant didn't answer. Instead, she turned and waved at another crew member. "Can you come here?" she said. A second flight attendant came over. "What's wrong?" "This gentleman is trying to sit in first class," she whispered, but loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. "But I don't think he belongs here." Mr. Jordan stood still. His back was straight. His hand still held the ticket. "Here," he said, offering the ticket again. The second crew member took it and looked closely. Her eyebrows went up. "It's a first-class ticket," she said. "It's valid." The first attendant looked uncomfortable. "Well, maybe it's a mistake." The second woman shook her head. "It's not." But the first one didn't move. "I think security should check this." Someone in the back gasped. A child said, "Why are they not letting him sit down?" Mr. Jordan said nothing. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't look angry, but his eyes were serious now. The first flight attendant turned and walked quickly to the front. She picked up the phone. "Security, please. We need help in first class." Mr. Jordan looked around. All eyes were on him. He looked at an old man sitting nearby. The man gave him a small nod, like he understood. Then someone stood up. It was a woman from row 4. She looked about 60 years old, with white hair and sharp eyes. She walked up the aisle toward Mr. Jordan and the crew. "I know this man," she said clearly. The flight attendants looked surprised. "I've seen what he's done, and you're making a big mistake." Mr. Jordan looked at her, surprised. He didn't seem to recognize her. The woman smiled. "You don't remember me. That's okay, but I remember you." The first flight attendant said, "Ma'am, please sit down." The woman didn't move. "No, you're treating him like a criminal." "He's not. He's more than you know." Now more people were standing. A few had their phones out. Some were filming. Some were just watching in silence. At that moment, the door to the cockpit opened. The captain stepped out. "What's going on here?" he asked. The flight attendants turned quickly. The first one spoke. "Captain, this man may have taken the wrong seat. He says he's in 2A." The captain looked at Mr. Jordan, and then something changed. His eyes widened. His face turned serious. He stepped closer. "Is that really you?" the captain asked softly. Now even the crew looked confused. Mr. Jordan stayed silent. The captain turned to the flight attendants and said one sentence that made the whole plane go quiet. "You have no idea who this man really is." The cabin was silent. Every eye was on the captain. His voice was calm, but his words felt heavy. "You have no idea who this man really is." The first flight attendant looked confused. "Captain, do you know him?" The captain nodded slowly. "Yes, I do." Mr. Jordan stayed quiet. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He just looked at the captain with calm eyes. Passengers began whispering. Who is he? Is he famous? Did he do something bad? No, I think the captain respects him. A teenage girl nearby whispered to her mother, why didn't they let him sit? Her mother shook her head sadly. In the front row, a businessman leaned closer to hear. A young couple took out their phones and started recording. The captain turned to Mr. Jordan. Sir, I'm sorry. I didn't expect to see you here. Mr. Jordan gave a small nod. It's all right. I was just trying to take my seat. The captain looked at the crew. This man has every right to sit in 2A, and more than that, he deserves your respect. The first flight attendant looked embarrassed now. Her hands were shaking. Captain, I didn't mean any harm. I just thought there was a mistake. A mistake? Someone said loudly from the back. It was the old woman from before. Or did you just assume he didn't belong here because of how he looks? Gasps filled the cabin. The first flight attendant's face turned red. I didn't. You judged him, the woman said, before even checking the facts. The second flight attendant looked away. She knew the old woman was right. A little boy across the aisle leaned toward his dad and asked, is he a soldier? His father nodded slowly. Maybe something even more. The captain looked around the cabin. I'll explain everything soon, he said. But for now, I'd like to speak with Mr. Jordan in private. He looked at the confused passengers. Please stay calm. We'll be taking off shortly. The captain gently touched Mr. Jordan's arm. Would you come with me, sir? Mr. Jordan nodded and followed him toward the cockpit. As they walked, people moved aside quietly. Some looked at him with respect, others with guilt. When they reached the small private space near the cockpit door, the captain turned and spoke quietly. I never got to thank you for saving my life. Mr. Jordan said nothing for a moment. Then he finally spoke. That was a long time ago. Yes, but I never forgot, the captain said. I owe you everything. And today they almost threw you off this flight. It's okay, Mr. Jordan said. This happens more than you think. The captain's face tightened. Well, not today, not on my flight. Meanwhile, back in the cabin, the passengers continued whispering. Did you hear what the captain said? He saved his life. Who is this man? A woman holding her baby said. He didn't even raise his voice once. That's strength. Another man whispered. They judged him. But he's more than all of us combined. Suddenly, the loudspeaker came on. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the delay. There has been a misunderstanding. Everything is under control now. Please return to your seats. We will take off shortly. The captain walked back out. And this time, he said it loud enough for everyone to hear. This man is not only a first-class passenger, he's a national hero. The cabin was completely silent. The captain's words echoed in everyone's mind. This man is not only a first-class passenger, he's a national hero. Mr. Jordan stood calmly near his seat. His face was still peaceful, but his eyes looked tired, like they had seen too much in life. Passengers began whispering again, but this time with a new tone. Did he fight in a war? Did he save someone important? How could the crew not know? The first flight attendant stood frozen. Her hands were still shaking. She had made a big mistake, and now the whole plane knew it. Suddenly, the older woman from row 4 stood up again. She walked toward Mr. Jordan, her steps slow but strong. Everyone turned to watch her. I told you earlier, she said softly. I've met this man before. Mr. Jordan looked at her carefully, his eyebrows raised, as if he was trying to remember. I'm sorry, he said gently. Do I know you? The woman smiled. You helped me once. 15 years ago. More passengers turned their heads. Even the flight attendants leaned in to listen. The woman took a deep breath. My husband and I were on a trip. We were in a small airport overseas. Suddenly, something terrible happened. A man tried to hurt people. Everyone was screaming. No one knew what to do. She paused, her voice shaking slightly. But one man, just one, stepped forward. Calm, brave. He stopped the danger with no weapons, no help, Just his hands, his mind, and his heart. She looked directly at Mr. Jordan. That man was you. A quiet gasp filled the air. Mr. Jordan blinked slowly. The memory was coming back now. He remembered the panic, the chaos, and the old couple who had been crying in the corner. He nodded. I remember, he said. Your husband had trouble breathing. I carried him out. Tears formed in the woman's eyes. Yes, she whispered. And the doctor said if you hadn't come when you did, he would have died. Now people were wiping their eyes. Some covered their mouths. Even the second flight attendant looked emotional. The woman turned to the rest of the passengers. You judge people by clothes, skin, or age, but you never know who someone really is until it's too late. She turned back to Mr. Jordan. You didn't just save my husband. You saved my whole world. A young woman nearby whispered to her friend, he's a real hero. A quiet one. Someone else said, he didn't brag. He didn't shout. He just stood there while they tried to throw him off. Mr. Jordan lowered his eyes. I didn't do it to be remembered. I just did what anyone should do. The captain cleared his throat and stepped forward. Not everyone would have done what you did, sir. And I'm ashamed this flight didn't treat you with the respect you earned. The woman turned to the crew. You all owe this man an apology. The first flight attendant was already crying. She stepped forward slowly. I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't know. I judged you without thinking. Mr. Jordan gave a small nod. Thank you for saying that. The second flight attendant whispered, you didn't even raise your voice. That's true strength. Before Mr. Jordan could respond, the captain got a message through his earpiece. He listened, then looked surprised. Sir, he said to Mr. Jordan, there's a call coming in from the control tower. They say there's a special message for you. Mr. Jordan looked puzzled. For me? The captain nodded. Yes, and it's marked urgent. Mr. Jordan looked at the captain, confused. A message for me? He asked quietly. The captain nodded. Yes, sir. From the control tower. They say it's urgent and personal. The passengers were watching again. First, he was refused a seat. Then, he was called a hero. Now, someone important wanted to speak to him from the ground. The captain leaned closer. Come with me. I'll patch it through to the cockpit. Mr. Jordan followed him down the aisle. As he passed, people moved out of the way. Some nodded. Some whispered. Some still looked shocked. Inside the cockpit, the co-pilot looked back. Is that really him? The co-pilot asked the captain. Yes, the captain said. He's the reason I'm standing here today. Mr. Jordan sat down in the junk seat beside the captain. Before we play the message, the captain said softly, I want to tell you something. Mr. Jordan looked at him. You may not remember me, the captain said, but I remember you. Mr. Jordan was silent. 15 years ago, the captain began. I was a young pilot in the military. We were flying a mission over a dangerous zone. Something went wrong. Our engines failed. We had no radio. We were going down. He paused, his voice tight with emotion. Everyone panicked. Everyone, except one man. A calm voice came through the emergency channel. A voice that gave us exact steps, told us how to reset the system, walked us through the storm. The captain looked Mr. Jordan in the eyes. You saved our entire crew. I never saw your face, but I never forgot your voice. Mr. Jordan blinked slowly. He remembered. I was monitoring the emergency channel that night. Mr. Jordan said, you were flying too low. You had less than 3 minutes. Yes, the captain said. And you gave us life in 2. For a moment, they just sat there. 2 men, 2 pasts, 1 truth. The captain reached for the radio. Tower, this is Flight 27. I have Mr. Jordan with me. You may send the message. The speaker crackled. Then a voice came through, calm, clear, and respectful. Mr. Jordan, this is air traffic control. We were informed that you were on board. We have a message for you from Central Command. We have also been asked to pass along a direct note from someone very important. There was a pause. This message comes from the President of the United States. Mr. Jordan's eyes widened slightly. Even the captain leaned closer. The voice continued. Mr. Jordan, Your acts of bravery, both in uniform and in silence, have not gone unnoticed. We honor your years of service, your strength under pressure, and your quiet leadership. Today, we regret the way you were treated, but we thank you for showing the world what dignity looks like. We salute you." The speaker went quiet. Mr. Jordan looked down. His hand trembled slightly. His face didn't show pride. It showed something deeper: pain, memory, and humility. The captain whispered, "You deserve this. Every word." Mr. Jordan nodded slowly. "Thank you. But I never wanted fame. Just peace." Back in the cabin, passengers saw the cockpit door open again. Mr. Jordan stepped out, and this time, they didn't just stare, they stood. One by one, row by row, people rose from their seats. A soft round of applause began. Then louder. The entire cabin was now clapping, not for a celebrity, not for someone famous, but for a quiet man they had almost thrown out. The applause slowly faded, but the respect in the cabin stayed. Mr. Jordan walked quietly back to his seat in first class. He didn't wave or bow. He just gave a small nod of thanks to the passengers, still humbled by everything. As he sat down, the first flight attendant came over again. Her face was red, eyes puffy. "Sir," she said, her voice soft, "I want to apologize again, not just because I was wrong, but because I was unfair." Mr. Jordan looked at her, calm as ever. "Sometimes," he said gently, "we see what we expect, not what's true." She nodded. "That's exactly what I did." Before she could say more, the older woman from row 4 stepped forward again. She was holding something in her hand, a folded newspaper. "I just realized something," she said to the people around her. "I've seen his name before." She opened the paper and pointed. "Look," she said. "There's an article here from a few years ago. It was about a man who stopped a kidnapping in a crowded mall without using force. He didn't give his name, but the report called him a silent guardian." She looked straight at Mr. Jordan. "That was you, wasn't it?" Mr. Jordan didn't answer, but his eyes told the truth. "Yes," she whispered. "I knew it." Passengers began to whisper again. "How many people has he saved? Why doesn't anyone know who he is? He's like a real-life superhero." Just then, a little boy in economy stood up on his seat and said loudly, "Mister, were you in the army?" Everyone smiled softly. Mr. Jordan turned toward the boy and nodded. "Yes, I served many years." The boy smiled wide. "My big brother wants to be like you." Mr. Jordan's expression changed. His face softened, and for the first time, he smiled fully. "Then tell him this," Mr. Jordan said. "Being brave isn't about fighting. It's about helping, especially when no one is watching." The boy nodded proudly and sat down. Suddenly, another man stood up. He looked around nervously and then said, I know who he is too." People turned to him. "I work in Washington," the man said. "I've seen his file. Most of it is classified. But he's done things most of us couldn't even imagine." He turned to Mr. Jordan. "You don't just save people, you train those who do." Mr. Jordan said nothing, but his silence said everything. The businessman in the front row leaned forward. "So let me get this straight," he said. "The man who was almost kicked out of first class is the same man who protects the country in silence." The older woman nodded. "And still never asks for anything in return." The flight was quiet again, but now for a different reason. This wasn't just a man in a nice suit. This was a man with a past full of courage, sacrifice, and mystery. And somehow, no one on the plane knew. Until now, the cabin remained quiet, but eyes were wide. Hearts were heavy with realization. The man they almost removed from the flight was a silent hero. Suddenly, a flash went off. Someone had taken a photo. Then another. The young couple from the back had been recording the whole time. One of them whispered, "The world needs to see this." The video showed Mr. Jordan being refused a seat. Then the captain's announcement. Then the standing applause. Within minutes, they posted it online. The title read, "Flight crew disrespects black passenger. Then the truth shocks everyone." It started spreading. Fast. While the flight was still in the air, the video reached thousands of people on the ground. Back in the cabin, the captain walked out again. He held the intercom and looked around. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "on behalf of the airline, I want to say something." He paused. What happened earlier was wrong. Mr. Jordan was judged by his appearance, not by his character. He turned toward the flight attendants. "We must do better." The passengers nodded. The first flight attendant stepped forward again. "I'd like to say something too," she said nervously. Mr. Jordan looked at her. "I've worked in first class for 5 years, and I always thought I could tell who belonged here. But today, I learned something." She looked down, then back up. "It's not about clothes, or age, or skin color. It's about respect. And today, I gave none." Tears were in her eyes now. "I hope you can forgive me, sir. Not just for me, but for every time someone like you is treated like they don't belong." Mr. Jordan gave her a soft look. "I already have," he said quietly, "because I know what hate does, and I choose not to carry it." A few people began clapping, then more. Soon, the whole plane was applauding again. But this time, it wasn't just for Mr. Jordan. It was for growth, for truth, for change. Back on the ground, the video had already reached the news. Social media exploded with comments. "This man is a legend. How many more heroes walk among us unnoticed?" She judged him for his skin. He forgave her with his heart. The airline's official page posted a message. "We are aware of the incident on Flight 27. We are investigating. We will speak with Mr. Jordan personally. He deserves our respect and gratitude." But one post went viral the fastest. It came from the president's official account. "To Mr. Jordan, thank you for your quiet strength, your courage, and your grace. The nation stands with you. #respect my Jordan." Passengers on the flight started receiving messages. One woman turned to her husband. "This video is everywhere. People are talking about him all over the world." Her husband nodded. "And they should." But just when everything seemed to calm down, a quiet alarm beeped in the cockpit. The captain frowned. He looked at the co-pilot. "We're getting a new update." He pressed a button. A voice from the control tower came through. "Captain, this is urgent. We've been informed that someone on board has a connection to a major security event in the past. We need to confirm if it's the same Mr. Jordan." The captain's eyes widened. He turned slowly toward the cabin. Something else, something bigger, was about to be revealed. The cabin remained quiet, but eyes were wide. Hearts were heavy with realization. The man they almost removed from the flight was a silent hero. Suddenly, a flash went off. Someone had taken a photo. Then another. The young couple from the back had been recording the whole time. One of them whispered, "The world needs to see this." The video showed Mr. Jordan being refused a seat. Then the captain's announcement. Then the standing applause. Within minutes, they posted it online. The title read, "Flight crew disrespects black passenger. Then the truth shocks everyone." It started spreading, fast. While the flight was still in the air, the video reached thousands of people on the ground. Back in the cabin, the captain walked out again. He held the intercom and looked around. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "on behalf of the airline, I want to say something." He paused. What happened earlier was wrong. Mr. Jordan was judged by his appearance, not by his character. He turned toward the flight attendants. "We must do better." The passengers nodded. The first flight attendant stepped forward again. "I'd like to say something too," she said nervously. Mr. Jordan looked at her. "I've worked in first class for 5 years, and I always thought I could tell who belonged here. But today, I learned something." She looked down, then back up. "It's not about clothes, or age, or skin color. It's about respect. And today, I gave none." Tears were in her eyes now. "I hope you can forgive me, sir. Not just for me, but for every time someone like you is treated like they don't belong." Mr. Jordan gave her a soft look. "I already have," he said quietly, "because I know what hate does, and I choose not to carry it." A few people began clapping. Then more. Soon, the whole plane was applauding again, but this time, it wasn't just for Mr. Jordan. It was for growth, for truth, for change. Back on the ground, The video had already reached the news. Social media exploded with comments. This man is a legend. How many more heroes walk among us, unnoticed? She judged him for his skin. He forgave her with his heart. The airline's official page posted a message. We are aware of the incident on Flight 27. We are investigating. We will speak with Mr. Jordan personally. He deserves our respect and gratitude. But one post went viral the fastest. It came from the president's official account. To Mr. Jordan, thank you for your quiet strength, your courage, and your grace. The nation stands with you. #RespectMajordan. Passengers on the flight started receiving messages. One woman turned to her husband. This video is everywhere. People are talking about him all over the world. Her husband nodded. And they should. But just when everything seemed to calm down, a quiet alarm beeped in the cockpit. The captain frowned. He looked at the co-pilot. We're getting a new update. He pressed a button. A voice from the control tower came through. Captain, this is urgent. We've been informed that someone on board has a connection to a major security event in the past. We need to confirm if it's the same Mr. Jordan. The captain's eyes widened. He turned slowly toward the cabin. Something else, something bigger, was about to be revealed.